Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of my HTML course, and I'm gonna add a paragraph to our previous lesson, and I'm gonna write here click the computer, phone, or the cup of coffee. Okay, now there are instructions on the site on what to do. Alright, now I'm gonna go to the style.css file. I'm gonna show you something pretty cool. We can't really see this too well right now because we cannot scroll down enough. But to be able to scroll down, we can select all the elements with an asterisk and then curly brackets, and inside I am going to place margin dash bottom. Actually, I'm gonna select the body element, not all the elements, but you can select all the elements with an asterisk. Anyways, body margin dash bottom is 1000 pixels, and now we will be able to scroll a lot of this down. So yeah, the way this works is it will take this body element, which contains everything that our site has to display, and it will push it down. It will add space to the outside of that element, and that is called margin, as I told in the previous episode. Anyways, in this episode I am going to teach you guys about the next elements, and they are going to be article, and then there's going to be a site and audio. So let's go with article first. Let's add a human resources HR line over here. Now you can see it there. And then a H2. This is gonna be lesson number 4. There we go. So what exactly is an article? Let's say that we have an article, and this one can have a heading and a paragraph. Let's say Tozu. And then let's create a paragraph and say that Tozu is a YouTuber who creates videos about video games, and we can add another line that will not matter in HTML syntax. That's completely legal. Tozu is a YouTuber who creates videos about video games and programming websites. Also, if the text over here gets too long, it will go on to another line. So let me show that to you. There we go. Alright. Anyways, that's staying on one line. It's a good thing. Let's go over here right now. Let's create another article. Let's see H2 Chrome Google, and let's say P. Chrome is a web browser used most often used by developers, and that's actually statistically true. Alright, then let's add a third article. You get the point already, most likely. Let's say that what should I say? This year is and paragraph 2024. Alright, I didn't come up with anything else over there. Alright, there we go. Let's add an HR line. And let's go to the next element. The next element is gonna be the aside. There we go. And we can make all kinds of things over here. Also, I'm gonna introduce you guys to a little bit of CSS. So let's, for example, let's go to the first article element right over here. Let's select that and let's add a class. My dash article 1. Then I'm gonna copy that, and to select a class in a CSS file we gotta type in a dot and then my article 1 and curly brackets. So let's make the background dash color, let's make it pink. There we go. We can also add some padding, which is space on the inside, 10 pixels. Now you can see it formed a different shape. We can add margin, that is space on the outside of the element. There we go, it centered it a little bit mostly. And then we can make the font size colon 20 pixels and semicolon. Font weight bold. Font family, we can even choose that. Arial, backed up by Helvetica and sans serif. If for some reason your computer cannot load Arial, it will look for Helvetica. If that doesn't succeed, it will look for sans serif. But usually we put the font family to the body of our page. So yeah, there it is now. Okay, that's pretty much all we're gonna do for this now. Anyways, we can add classes by, styles by classes, and we can also do the same by IDs. For example, if the ID was my article, then I would just go to the CSS file, type in hashtag selects an ID, and my article, and I would type in whatever styles I wanted or would want. Anyways, we already have them over here, so I don't have to do that again. Alright, let's go to the aside element. Actually, before we go forward, I want to go back to the articles. So they are usually used to create forum posts, blog posts, news stories, or other stories that are visible by themselves and don't need any other elements except for a heading and a paragraph. Okay, then we are going to move on to the aside element. So h2 aside element. There we go. And we inside in aside element we are gonna put a paragraph. Let's say that I am a small YouTuber who creates gaming and programming videos. Okay, there's my paragraph. Now aside elements are most often they are used for defining some content aside from the content it is placed in, and the aside content should be indirectly related to the surrounding content, which it kinda is right now. These are kind of related. And then the content is often also used in sidebars, which we will build in the future when we get far enough with CSS, and the aside element does not render as anything special in the browser. So yeah, it will basically work like a normal heading and a normal paragraph. However, with CSS cascading style sheets, we can style it. Let's give it a class of aside 1. Let's go over to the .css folder, select dot to select a class, aside 1 and curly brackets, and then inside here we can do whatever we want. So let's say background color is gonna be light gray, and then there's going to be let's say there's gonna be a width of 30%, that will make it 30% of the viewport. If I make this wider, the width will grow. Alright. Then let's make padding dash left 15 pixels and margin dash left 15 pixels, and let's float it at the right. And now this is one important property, the float. So with the float property of CSS, I was able to get the element go to this side of the page. So yeah, now I can also type more stuff over here, not over here, but let's say outside here, like this. Okay, if they get longer than that line, they will go underneath. There's fixes for everything in CSS, but one thing at a time. Alright, so it's now floating in the right. Let's still make the font style italic. Now the text is italic, as you guys can see. Alright, there we go with the CSS. And lastly, I'm gonna introduce you to audio elements. I'm not gonna add an HR. I'm gonna add an H2 element that says audio elements. There we go. Alright, so I am going to download some audio and be right back. Okay, so I downloaded a song from YouTube's audio library. They are copyright free and I am gonna be able to play that here. Let's make a new folder called folder. There we go. Let's name it sounds. Alright, and let's move this over here. And I'm gonna rename it song1.mp3. Here we go.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, 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 no.
I didn't listen to that beforehand, but that's okay. Anyways, let's get an audio. So, I'm gonna type in audio. And it's gonna need a closing tag as well. Inside of this, we are gonna set the source attribute to be whatever we want to, and in this case it's going to be source src equals sounds slash song1.mp3, and the type is audio slash mp3. Now there's often, or I don't say often, but sometimes there might be situations where your audio file is not working. That's why it is extremely good to add a backup of your audio file with a different file extension. For example, if I had the song1 in, let's say, a .wav, if I had the same song in that format, it would be good, because if the browser can't find this first source or plate for a reason or another, then it will move on to the next one, next one, next one, next one, until it finds one that it can play. Anyways, as you guys can see, nothing is showing up on the page yet. So we gotta add audio controls. There we go. There's our audio element right now. We can start playing it.
I don't think so. No, 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 no.
Okay, it works. Also, another thing we can do is autoplay. And if we reload, oh, it's actually not working. Okay, I'm gonna try to open the same file in Google Chrome. Here we are. And we do have the controls and autoplay. There's no mistake in the code. Let's type in autoplay, controls,
I don't
and there
think
we go.
so. No, 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 no.
I didn't press the button. If I reload, okay, for some reason it's not starting to play. It should. There's no mistake in this code. Alright, anyways, we can also set it to loop. That will loop the audio. We can set it to muted. So this way, controls muted. It will not play, even if we would, it will play, of course, when we unmute it, but it's gonna be muted at default. And then there is a preload attribute. It specifies how the author thinks the audio should be loaded when the page loads. There's auto, metadata, and none. We are not really going to need that attribute. And then there's the src, which we are using inside the audio tag as a source element. So yeah, let's set controls autoplay. Okay, now. Now it's working. Alright. Autoplay.
I don't think so. No.
Now it is working. Wonderful. But if I refresh the page, it doesn't start playing automatically. Anyways, now you learned new elements once again. Article, aside, and audio. And I'm gonna add a comment here. And we can add autoplay, controls, necessary pretty much always, loop, muted, preload. You can add auto, metadata, and none. And then finally src, and that's going to be the URL. Alright, so that's it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope I'm gonna see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye, and have a wonderful day.